Hello and welcome back to Cave Story. So on the last episode we rescued Jenka's last puppy and then took it back to her apartment, only to find that Balrog got there first and laid a little bit of the smackdown on her to get that key for the storehouse. So now we're in kind of dire straits in terms of the macroscopic game situation right here, because the red flowers are in that storehouse. And the doctor wants those to basically turn all the Amigas into crazy Macho Man Randy Savage-esque killing machines, so we're going to need to try to get there before him, even though the speed at which we accomplish this has no bearing on the story of the game, of course. So this is, thank the Lord, the last time we ever have to pass through this section of the desert right here. Which is good because if you've been watching the past few parts, you know that I am fucking horrendous at it. And actually there was a fair bit of video editing magic that had to occur in order to make it look as smooth as this, because I had some rough runs through here. Let's put it this way, this is definitely not a flawless run through Cave Story, and if you didn't notice that by the way I suffered against those power critters in Grasstown, then I guess now would be the time to tell you. So once we get to the end over here, we are basically at the end of the sand zone. So once that happens, we'll enter a new area that's actually quite different from any place we've been so far in the game, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. We'll tackle that when we come to it. So we just gotta work our way back up here. I think I've come to the conclusion that the fireball is the best thing to use, but now that I have the level 3 Polar Star for what seems like the first time in what, like 4 or 5 videos, I want to use that a little bit to get my fireball leveled back up to level 3. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, anytime you have a slope, the fireball seems to be a good weapon to use because the bullets roll downhill or even uphill and can kind of like conglomerate on your enemy and do a whole lot of damage. I feel kind of bad bringing this up in video 11, but a lot of people have been asking me where to get Cave Story, or if I could do a Cave Story giveaway. The game is actually freeware, so if you just do a Google search, you could probably find it. I had a little bit of trouble finding a site to download it from, but if you just search on a torrent site, you should be able to find something. And, you know, not illegal because it is a freeware game in the first place. At least that's the scope of my legal knowledge on the matter. But in any case, yeah, go pick that up. Don't wait for me to give away a copy. I can't give away a copy. It's free. And highly recommended, of course, as I've said, you know, in every single video so far. This part with the birds is just a pain in the ass, and normally, I guess I would probably prefer to use missiles here, but since we have a boss fight coming up, I'm gonna save those for as long as I can. Although, this boss fight is not really a missile-oriented one. Sometimes it's still nice to have them, just in case you lose, like, all of the experience on your other weapons, and you need something that can actually do a fair amount of damage. Not the best weapon to use against this upcoming boss, but not a bad one, to be sure. So now the storehouse is open. They left the door wide open, obviously, because they want me to walk in so I can advance the plot. But before we go in, always a good idea to take this little bit of a jumping puzzle here and refill your health and obviously save. And actually, I guess I could have used my missiles because that is a missile refill point anyway. But you know, bygones be bygones. That's all in the past now. Hindsight is 20/20 and various other cliches. So this is our first look at the Doctor, who is our primary antagonist in the game, even though we only fight him once, or maybe twice depending on your definition. Or I guess maybe 0 times depending on what ending you're going for. But in any case, we have found that they have obviously encountered the red flowers here, and are now going to test the reaction of the red flowers on a Amiga, and you can probably guess who it's going to be. Indeed, it is Toroko. So, this is kind of Toroko's tragic part of the story right here, as Balrog boxes her in. I don't want to spoil it, but we do actually end up fighting Toroko in about, 15 seconds. But first we've got a little bit of a story here, a little bit of a cutscene to deal with. I can't help but, normally I'm a huge fan of 2D games and their storytelling, but I can't help but feel that scene where Balrog is feeding Toroko the red flower would probably be a little bit more emotional in 3 dimensions. And anyway, of course, yeah, King comes in. He's gonna try to stop the Doctor, and this is really the only time we see King in combat over the course of the entire game. And I guess it kind of vindicates him, because he's been kind of a dick for the entire game so far. But now that he comes in to save his friend, or his prospective girlfriend, and gets smited in the process. He's you know, he's taking it on sort of a hero role now. So now we don't get a chance to fight the Doctor or even Misery here, but what we do is fight enraged Toroko. You can see her starting to balloon up there like she just ate that magic blueberry in Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I think I just butchered that reference, but whatever. So the missile's not super effective against enraged Toroko, just because she jumps so often. Enraged Toroko is actually probably the most difficult boss we've fought so far. Actually, definitely the most difficult boss we've fought so far. It's not that her attacks are, you know, necessarily that hard to dodge or avoid, but just hard to do a lot of damage to her in a short period of time. Only one attack, really, and that's the throwing those cement blocks at us. And when the cement blocks land, they let out yellow flowers, which are, you know, minor enemies that can do a little bit of damage to you, but not a whole heck of a lot. Really, your main concern is just not getting hit by Toroko's body, which does 10 damage, which is still pretty significant at this early portion of the game, or, you know, mid-game portion anyway. The red flowers are actually kind of a boon because they give you health and experience, which would, if they were missing, would otherwise make this fight much more difficult, if not, well, probably not impossible, but much more difficult, absolutely. So I'm actually running a little bit low on health here, but I'm relatively convinced the fireball is the best way to go. I think maybe I should give the bubbler a try, but let's just stick with the fireball for now, because I'm relatively confident that everything's going to work out for the best. Although with only 9 health, I'm not dealing with a lot of wiggle room here. But luckily these yellow flowers keep dropping a little bit of little hearts so that I can you know, keep up the good fight. I wonder if the game actually has like a slider that determines whether they drop health or experience, because the fact that they just dropped a whole bunch of health right there might have saved me in this fight. And of course, now that we've got Toroko kind of hemmed in and on a little bit of a flat surface, we can just hammer away with a fireball and defeat her. But unfortunately, that means we just ended her life, and, you know, I suppose that's why no victory music played when we defeated her, because we just kind of murdered her. But, you know, to the best of our knowledge, there's no cure for being enraged. And also, yes, King dies as well. But his death is kind of a cause for jubilation, because we get the blade, which is actually not so good at level 1, but becomes one of my most used weapons anyway by the end of the game. Once you get it up to level 3 anyway. And even level 2's not bad. So we escape from the storehouse, and Balrog and Misery show up to kind of give me the what for. They keep making reference to, you know, like, robots that used to be here, but that hasn't been really exposited on in the story yet. So Misery sends us to a place called the Labyrinth, which we can assume is kind of like a jail. And she also sends Balrog as well, because she is tired of his ineptitude. So we are in some kind of sand prison right now. Or maybe not sand, sandstone prison. In any case, the next little part of our Let's Play is going to be dedicated to getting out of here. So as always, practice safe saving. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.